Hello, hello. What a great session today, Dr. B. McCoy. I am honored to have you. And this is the Powerpreneur Show where we talk about how different things are going to help our audience with, um, I would say, making their days better, better decision powers, better path and navigation. So, thank you for joining us today. And I know you'll be a partner on this soon. So, as your schedule frees up more, you'll be more and more with us. And I am going to enjoy every bit of that.
Awesome. Well, I am certainly glad to be here. A little bit about myself. I am Dr. Brittany McCoy, but I prefer you all to call me McCoy. So today we're actually going to be talking about meditation. Is that right, Dr. Shaw?
That's right. And why did we pick this topic today?
Um, I think it's very important that people be more mindful. So oftentimes we kind of get stuck in day to day and we may zone out or we may not be fully present in ourselves. And I think it's very much important to kind of bring it back to the present moment. There's even a substantial amount of evidence that supports mindfulness and meditation practices.
Wow, that is amazing. So, without any further delay, let's get started. I am going to add our presentation here, and then we are going to talk about meditation as why it is something that it's important, and then why have we chosen this topic to bring light on for our audience.
Mhm.
So, meditation and why is it important, and why have we both included that in our daily practice? And as we talk about this, like more and more that we talk on the deeper level, I've realized that like people who are on the same wavelength are all on the same page with how meditation is helping them.
Mhm.
So, what is exactly meditation? I think there's a lot of misconceptions around this. And I'm glad that you've chosen this slide to bring light on what exactly it is. And I would love for you to break this down for us.
Sure. So a lot of times, some people may write things off as woo woo, but we are a human being, and it is important to know yourself so that you're able to come and have more clarity, have more purpose in your life. And so there's different forms of meditation. It can be formal, it can be informal. It's something that you possibly can do with others, it's something that you can do on your own. And so what it really comes down to is bringing a focused attention on just yourself, on your awareness, on your being, noticing your hands, noticing your feet, noticing the breath that you breathe every day, just taking time to just be in yourself, right? Being more open minded, if you will.
Absolutely. So there's formal and informal practices, which means you could literally be, when you say informal, we could be meditating right now when we're doing this show. We could be meditating while we are on a walk. I think walking meditations are my favorite. Or we could literally, I find myself meditating when I'm like even in a big group of people and there's crowd and I could still do it. So I think that's more of an informal because now once you've trained your brain, you could kind of, it's almost like a switch that you
Yeah,
can turn on and off, right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
mindfulness and stress reduction. Basically, that's the core of it. Would you say that we're really working on calming our nervous system down every morning? I made a post this morning about how it's important to take a little bit time in the morning, not make it slow morning, but kind of be mindful, is what my meaning was there. And I wanted to share a little bit of how I do that, and then you can share how you start your mornings, or
Sure.
even if you have a particular way to end your days, whatever is the most important practice that you are working on, right?
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about flight or fight mode and what that really means, and how the stressors of life have changed coming from the, the back in the day era where, we went from the cavemen to having an whole agricultural revolution where we started getting into cultivation, and then the modern civilization took over, right? So
Mhm.
things have changed, stresses of life have changed, and then what stimulates us and what actually gets us in the flight or fight mode has also
Mhm.
changed.
Yeah. So even like just kind of staying along the lines of, stress reduction. So, for example, every day you have to brush your teeth, right? Well, why not put your toothbrush and your toothpaste in a place like, right along the sink, for example, instead of up in a shelf where you can easily access it. So I know that sounds like super, super simple and kind of common sense, but utilizing some of those things, if you know you need something, for example, make sure that it's openly accessible so that you're not rushing to go through the cabinets and go upstairs and kind of do too much, if you will.
Yeah, I want to share this because I've experienced this whole flight or fight mode while I was in corporate America. Every day, every morning when I have to go to work, there's this anxiety about being on time because if you're even 2 to 3 minutes late, you get written up. So that was something. And then if you have an early morning shift and you came back closing last night, late, and sometimes you don't get to bed till like 12 or 1, and then you have to go in the morning at 7 again. Literally, like there's so much stress that builds up without us even knowing.
Hmm.
And then I would feel so anxious, like just waking up. It would be like, okay, I need to rush. I need to eat my breakfast. Like I don't have time for this, or I'm gonna stay hungry all day without proper nutrition. And doing that for just 2 years, I had a major crash. Can you believe that?
Unfortunately, I can believe that, but it does suck, and we definitely can start implementing better mindfulness and meditative practices, even for the healthcare professionals as well. So a lot of times, we get kind of stuck in the day to day, and we don't necessarily practice what we preach. And it could be because of the stressors of, KPIs and the bottom line, but we do have to find that time and find value in these mindfulness types of practices so that we can reduce a lot of that stress within our lifestyle in our personal and professional avenues.
Absolutely. I've heard that even like texting is a form of stressor for the body because if you're waiting for an important text to come back, like your system is going through all these stressors where you are actually in a fight or flight mode. If it's something that is an important decision that's going to be made, well, especially being a business owner, or even in, I feel like in job sector, like it doesn't matter. Your bosses are always texting you, and the tonality is not really very clear. So sometimes you could completely misinterpret a whole situation and then create this whole stress around it. And that's what we're talking about. Like, if you see this picture, like I was down with gut issues because stomach gets affected a lot from stress. That's why a lot of people, I would say millions and millions, about 20 to 40 million suffer from gut issues in our country. And that's because of the stressors of life, and it affects your gut so fast. And then you start feeling different things. Starts with bloating and faint pain, and then we get like these sharp shooting pains randomly. You just like all these different things, and then you're just so tired, and there's adrenal fatigue and your lack of sleep. It's just never ending. Our lifestyle today is so different than what it used to be back in the day for even just our parents, or even like, let's say parents, right? Because grandparents was like a whole different century we're talking about. That's that being said, I would say, what is next? Like meditation is kind of scientifically being proven to do a lot of things. And let's talk about that because we talked about what is flight or fight mode. how the stresses of life kick in, why meditation is important. But now let's look at evidence based because we're all about evidence based medicine.
Yeah.
And that's what
Mhm.
we're bringing out to our audience.
So yeah, we are this holistic being. So whether you accept it or not, there's this mind body connection. And so even just that, the fact that your bodies are able to just adjust to whether something is hot or whether something is cold just by the sight of it before you even touch it, for example, your body's able to make that interpretation and send these chemical messengers to relay whatever the message is given the different scenario. And so there's actually a lot of evidence and literature um, in PubMed and other sources like that that literally talks about the fact that meditation practices does improve your physical and your mental and your emotional health. It does decrease stress. It does alleviate anxiety and depression, and it helps to manage chronic pain as well as improve your sleep.
Wow. I also read from one of the study that it actually thickens your prefrontal cortex. What that means is when that becomes thicker, your activities like decision making power, intuition, energy bifurcations, and all of that becomes more and more elevated, where you have more power towards those, and then your focus on different things like what other people are doing or opinions of others or any of the things that we shouldn't be focusing on, it kind of becomes slower. So
Mhm.
that is amazing to know that there is so much power attached to meditation and the practices that we are talking about. So, all in all, it gives you a sense of calm, peace, balance, and it benefits your emotional well being. But these benefits don't end here when your meditation ends. And that's what I love. It's like, think of it as a residual income. Where we all like love to like go to work for a few years and then make this whole residual income out of that. Meditation's like that. You do it every day for a little bit, but then the effects they carry on for the whole day.
Yeah.
So you want to bring some light on the next slide here, the scientific findings and how our neuroscience is looking more and more into meditational practices with evidence.
Yeah, sure. And so we're not here to just give you guys a whole doctoral lesson, but we wanted to just kind of shed a little bit of light on just some of the findings here. And so research has found that meditators appear to lose less gray matter within the brain, and meditating has reduced some of that cognitive decline that has been associated with normal aging. So, in other words, it's like reducing how time is on your aging process, right? And so
Mhm.
the folding of the cortex within the brain is associated with faster mental processing due to meditation. And so there's also this thickening of the prefrontal cortex in the right anterior insula and the areas of the brain associated with attention and awareness of sensations and emotions. So I thought that was really, really neat. Meditators
That
also who
is
have
really neat.
yeah. And so meditators who have also practiced for 5 years or more have significantly larger volumes of gray matter in the hippocampus, which is another part of the brain, an area that is crucial for memory and learning. So much more. We just kind of wanted to highlight some of the biggest points here, but it's just kind of driving home that point that meditation is certainly beneficial in ways, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I love working with you about is like I learned so much new information because you do your research and I do mine and we bring it together. So we are the powerpreneurs and
That's right.
I want to help everybody else become the same and how powerful we feel in our being. And thank you for all this amazing information. Let's keep moving forward so we can finish this in time because we try to keep this about 30 minutes. That way we can get the most bang for the buck with time here. So why meditation is so powerful? Because it causes that shift in your awareness. And that's what we need. You see a lot of people we talk to, we're like, I'm not sure where they stand with their understanding of how like a lot of things operate, and they are in that bubble that they haven't worked on becoming the higher being or connecting to the higher self of themselves and tapping into the consciousness of being the whole, the whole concept of oneness. And that's what it does. Like, I honestly feel a lot of people that I'm working with who are on the same wavelength, they are extension of myself now. And that's such a powerful position to be in because we work abundantly with an abundant mindset and there's no scarcity here, right? So
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
one thing. And then, of course, many people over identify their thoughts and emotions, which can prolong them and make them feel bigger than they are, which is, again, the lesson of ego, right? So,
Yes.
specific thoughts or feelings can agonize us for days on end. And I think that's what really meditation does is I'm really able to put things behind me way more quicker, and it doesn't really affect me through days or even hours. Forget about hours. Like, it takes me a couple hours to put something behind me, and I think that's very powerful as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
The signs of disassociation from body, mind body split. I'd love for you to put some light on this area and understanding of it.
And so, if you're experiencing some of these things, that is an indication that you need to start practicing more mindfulness and more meditative types of practices. So, whenever you start having those obsessive thoughts, or you start feeling judgmental, or having certain numbing type thoughts, or feelings, or feeling distracted, or speeding and rushing. And that was something that I started doing even throughout pharmacy school and even after. And I had to start taking some time to start minding my own gaps and start figuring out how can I be more mindful? How can I be more one and stop all this impatient types of actions, right? And so when you start noticing these things, these are reasons to start considering how you go about your routines and your daily practices.
Absolutely. Yeah, funny enough, but my first biggest challenge was when I was in Farm D and I had to start learning how to meditate because there was just too much going on for me to handle. And I just didn't know what else to do other than just breathe deeply and then meditate and pray. And I think we all kind of learned there. My spiritual journey began there. Would you say yours began there too?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we do things before we regret it. And then sometimes we're essentially forced to figure out this new you and how you're going to overcome something. And unfortunately, just kind of getting burnt out and waiting to after that threshold and that breaking point, it was then that I finally decided to start implementing better mindfulness and meditative practices. And unfortunately, sometimes the biggest blessings come out of the biggest lessons, right? And so out of that, I was able to work on a better routine and start implementing a routine in the first place every morning and evening.
Wow, that is such a powerful information. And I hope a lot of people are learning how these challenges of life can actually be a blessing in a way because we're here to learn a lesson. And until we have learned that lesson from that incident that has happened, we are not going to be able to move forward because that will repeat again and again. If there is a pattern, then you must understand that there is something that needs to come out of this as an outcome that we need to take. So, consequences of disconnection from body, what are those and how does it affect us?
Yeah, so when you start feeling tired and fatigue and you don't have enough energy and anxiety, depression, and I feel cut off. I don't understand, why I'm not feeling this love anymore, this passion anymore. I'm not happy. limiting beliefs. I can't do this. Even though I'm qualified, I can't figure this out. I can't do it. I went through all this school and yet I still feel less than. Imposter syndrome. I just have aches and pains, even though I didn't physically get hurt, but I feel unwell. All those things are just more consequences of that dissociation, of that not having that connection. So again, these are just things to just start being more mindful of so that you can practice more mindful activities.
Absolutely. And I feel like at some point, all of us healthcare professionals go through this burnout because we have stopped connecting our feelings to how our body's signaling us. And we're just so in the system of that, like showing up on time, running our shifts, providing for others, and we're literally not providing for ourselves because we're so exhausted when we come back. We just want to kind of be unconscious in a way. So what I was doing was I would drink like 2 glasses of wine, so I would just fall asleep without having to think much. But then that would be very detrimental because I would feel anxious in the middle of the night, and then I realized that now my sleep is all disturbed. So, and then don't forget the leaky gut that comes from it. So it's just like a vicious cycle that repeats, and then you can really get trapped into it. So how do we reconnect, Dr. B. McCoy? Please explain us on how to become this powerful entrepreneur and how to reconnect to the body and then be the best selves of ourselves from day to day. Well, we lost Dr. B for a second, and as she comes back, we're going to get back into how to reconnect. Sorry, we lost you for a second. Not sure what happened there.
Yeah, but now I'm reconnected.
Let's do it. So how do we reconnect to the body? And since you're reconnected, we can dive into it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, being more mindful, practicing more mindfulness. And at the end of this, we'll do like just one quick short activity. But yeah, notice
Okay.
when you're time traveling, notice when you start predicting and you're doing all this mind reading instead of being in the present moment. Oftentimes we think about the past or we think about the future, and I want to be 10 steps ahead, but, really bringing it back to the present moment, taking that pause to just be more aware of what's happening to your body instead of getting lost in those reactive thoughts and those reactive emotions and all of those actions that are not in the present moment, right? And so you, instead of doing those, you want to start stop reacting so much and just start being more present, right? So you can take time to start doing some body scans and just reestablishing that contact with the present moment. Yes, I'm sitting here. Yes, I feel the wind in the air, or what have you. So it's important that you just take time to reconnect it.
Absolutely. So we lost Dr. B for a second, and as she comes back, we're going to talk more about ways to adjust the mindset. So, how do we adjust the mindset? We have to basically adopt certain things, right? Readjusting. We lost you for a second, but I wanted to move to adjusting the mindset and how we can help with that.
Absolutely. And so, just bringing it back to it, non-judgmental things and being more patient, having that mind, let's bring it back to the basics. Let's bring it back to, being back in the beginning and trusting your thoughts. And, oftentimes we want to strive for this and we want to strive for that, but let's take it one step at a time, right? One foot in front of the other. And, it's important to just accept where you are so that you can start moving forward and practicing letting go and stop holding on to all these things that may just be holding you down or keeping you down, right?
Absolutely. So I think letting go is something that we really have to learn. And as human beings, we're not able to do that. And that could be one of our biggest challenge to work on. So what are the different types of meditation practices out there? and then we'll dive into the activity that you want to get into. So there is mindful meditation, spiritual, focused, movement, mantra, transcendental, progressive, loving kindness. And I do all of them. Different days are different practices, and that's what I love is I'm not limited to, oh, I have to sit in my chair and just kind of close my eyes and do, like, it's not like that, you know. You have to understand how to make this a moving part with your lifestyle. All right, let's do that practice and activity that we were talking about, right?
Yeah. So let's just do the first one for today. So
Okay.
it's focused on a focused attention. And so what we want to do is we want to use your non-dominant hand. We want to close our eyes and we want to notice what it feels like and we want to stay present. So let's just take 10 seconds to do that. So again, we're going to close our eyes for 10 seconds. We're going to just notice our non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed and I'm just going to take time to notice my left hand. I want to notice what it feels like. And I want to just bring attention to the present moment. And that's how we can kind of reset and bring it back to the present moment. So for 10 seconds, guys, let's do that. Awesome, guys. And so
That
if
was
you
pretty
notice,
powerful.
yeah, so when you were constantly thinking about, your hand in that present moment, if you guys will notice, you stop for a minute thinking about the bills or stop thinking about work or stop thinking about, oh, what's the next thing on my to-do list or all the things that I didn't accomplish today. And oftentimes we're so self-critical of ourselves, right? And so that's just one small activity or exercise that you can do to just kind of bring it back in and just be a little more mindful. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, how are people meditating? And Dr. B, if you want to shed a little light on the Powerpreneur program that we're building and how excited we are to present this opportunity in future.
Absolutely, Dr. Shah. Thank you for this opportunity. So essentially, we are building a platform where we essentially help clinicians sort of adapt this business acumen and adapt some of these techniques that we don't learn in school. And so a lot of times we learn, by the book, clinical, right? But what about visibility? What about credibility? What about profitability? What if I want to go a non-traditional route, right? So we're pretty much bringing in all these different buckets that are very much pertinent to the entrepreneurial experience so that you're put in a better position to grow and scale, right?
Absolutely. So it's basically a platform for everything healthcare that you didn't learn in school. Absolutely. Right. So, with that being said, we've had a great 30 minutes and we've given a lot of power to our powerpreneurs. And we will see them on one of the next episodes that we'll design and come back with.
Awesome. You guys have a powerful week.